Welcome to the Northeastern Region RAC. It is November the 20th at 6 p.m. We will start off with the introductions. I am Grizzle Lean, filling in for the RAC chair. Eric, he's online, and Tim Ignacio, Willis Lefevre, Nate Crapo, Jake Huber, and Dwayne Davies are excused. We'll go ahead and start down with Richard.
Richard Bueller, public at large.
Natasha Haddon, U.S. Forest Service.
Jordan McMahon, Bureau of Land Management.
Adam Nielsen, Watchable Wildlife.
Eric, you want to go ahead?
Yep, Eric Major, public at large. Thanks for letting me call in.
And then Mark.
Yes, thanks for letting me call in. Mark China with Watchable Wildlife.
And then we also have online Gary Nelson and Kent Johnson and Bob Christensen. They're both from the Wildlife Board. Bob's here in person. I think that's it. Next, we'll move to welcome to the Northeastern Regional Advisory Council meetings. Meetings being held in person at the Northeastern Region office, as well as being streamed live on YouTube. And this is a public forum, allows you to express your opinions and ideas on wildlife management in our state. This RAC considers your feedback on the proposals before us today and reports them to the Wildlife Board. The Wildlife Board, not the RAC, is charged with setting wildlife policy for our state. Wildlife management is complex and sometimes is emotionally charged. We all have ideas and opinions about what is best for Utah's wildlife. It's why we are here today, and that's a good thing. We encourage those who want to express their opinion at today's meeting to fill out a comment card. We expect those in attendance to respect the people who speak, especially those who hold views that don't align with their own. Respectful behavior helps facilitate efficient meetings where RAC members can listen, digest, and address the concerns, ideas, and proposals being presented for consideration. Disrespectful behavior includes booing, yelling, cheering, or laughing while someone is speaking. You can also help maintain a respectful space by referring to people by name instead of descriptors of their physical characteristics, demeanor, or gender. If this behavior occurs, the RAC chair will remind attendees to be respectful. If the behavior continues, applicable individuals will be asked to leave. Lastly, please help reduce distractions during the meeting by putting your phone on silent. And if you need to take a call, we ask that you step outside. We will then move to the approval of the agenda and minutes.
I make a motion.
Okay,
to
Natasha.
approve the minutes.
Natasha makes a motion to approve the agenda and minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
It is seconded by Jordan. All those in favor, we'll just do it by raise a hand. Online. Okay, that passed unanimously. Okay, we will go ahead and move on to the Wildlife Board meeting update that occurred on, what was that? It was September 18th.
September 18th.
Okay. We'll start off with the first motion was on the Southeast Region Big Game Management Plan Action. There was one motion to accept as presented. That passed unanimously. The next one was the mid-plan review of the mountain goat bighorn sheep action. There was one motion to accept as presented. That passed unanimously. The next was the conservation permit audit action. The one motion to accept as presented. That passed unanimously with one recusal. There was the next was a conservation permit annual report action, and there was one motion to accept as presented, and that passed unanimously with one recusal. The next was the expo permit audit. There was one motion to accept as presented, that passed unanimously with one recusal. Then there was the expo permit allocation. That one was one motion to accept as presented, that passed unanimously with one recusal. And then the last was the 2026 RAC Board meeting dates, and there was one motion to accept as presented, and that passed unanimously. we will move on to the regional update. Take it away, Miles.
It should, can you guys see it?
We can see it on the screen.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and start things off. It's fall's a busy time, and you think it would start to paper off a little bit, but it seems like it's been ramping up lately. So there's still lots and lots to do before the year's over. So just go over some things that have been happening recently. Law enforcement, they had a really busy year this year during the hunting seasons. One of the things that happened this year, it kind of happens every year to an extent, it sounds like a little bit more this year. So we had several bull moose killed here in the region that were mistaken for elk, or sounds like in a couple of cases, people just took shots at dark animals with antlers. So anyhow, unfortunately, with our once in a lifetime species, that additional harvest is not a good thing for us, but hopefully that won't be a trend that continues in the future, and hopefully the public will take a little more time just to make sure they're identifying their target correctly. As usual, there's just lots of trespassing and hunting in the wrong unit type of violations. So just remind the public again to know where you're hunting and take the time to make sure that you're doing the right thing. Go to the next one. Outreach. This is kind of a repeat slide, but I thought I'd highlight it again. The Utah Bird Slam is up and running now. And so there's 6 different slams that a person can choose from beginner to expert levels. So you can register for a birding slam and sign up for an eBird account to participate. And then upon the completion of the slam, each participant will get a pin. So we've had some of our employees here in the region have already completed multiple slams. So it's been pretty popular so far. There's been over 60 slams already completed this year. And so a lot of people are taking advantage of that. It's actually brought forward different birding education events and different things around the state. So it's something that's really starting to take off. With the next slide. Outreach has also been coordinating our general pheasant hunt releases. We got a couple more weeks of that. We utilize dedicated hunters a lot to go and pick up those birds and transport them to the region where we spread those out. Different folks go out and do the releases at those places. And so that really saves us a lot of time and mileage for our vehicles. So it's a good cost savings, but it's a good way to partner with the public to make these things happen. And then the Christmas bird count is scheduled in December at Ouray National Wildlife Refuge again this year. So anyhow,
What day is that?
Connie, what's the-
December 20th.
20?
Century Nathan.
Habitat folks have had a really busy season. This is kind of a brief summary of a lot of things they've done. They just completed a big mega guzzler on Blue Mountain with 3 guzzler tanks. It's got a 48-foot by 80-foot apron on it. So that thing collect a lot of water in a hurry. About 20,000 acres of fence construction has been completed this year on different WMAs. And so that's been a really busy year. 433 acres of seedlings and plantings, 8,000 acres of herbicide treatments, about 350 acres of bull hog and mowing type projects. Several projects are still ongoing right now. And so hopefully those projects are wrapping up this fall and that acreage will climb. Been working on our WMAs with some parking area upgrades, improving a fishing pier and walkway. And then there's been a number of different partner projects with the BLM, Forest Service, and other folks that we've cooperated with them with contracting different things. So lots of work. And then just multiple guzzler repair projects this year. The heavy snows a couple of years did cause some damage from a couple of years ago that we've had to go out and repair some of those. So anyhow, a lot of good work going on habitat section. Aquatics, they just finished the annual burbot trammel netting up at Flaming Gorge. And so on the Utah side of the reservoir, the catch per unit effort of burbot declined from 6.7 fish to 5.3 fish per net per night. So it's good to see a little bit of a decline, but it can fluctuate from year to year. So we'll just have to continue to watch that trend. But as you can see in the photo, burbot prey heavily on crayfish in Flaming Gorge. Good news is the last couple of years we've seen more crayfish, an uptick in them. So with coinciding with some lower burbot numbers, that's good. Crayfish are also a primary prey species for smallmouth bass, and perhaps smallmouth bass have been most significantly impacted by burbot in the reservoir. So we'll continue to watch that, but it's always encouraging when we see a downward trend. It was a record year for kokanee salmon egg takes this year. We got over 3 million eggs from Sheep Creek alone, and those went into the hatchery system. Combined with other efforts throughout the state, we got ample eggs this year for hatchery needs. There were still lots of kokanee running up the creek after we pulled the trap, so hopefully there'll be a lot of natural recruitment there as well. So really good year for kokanee spawning up in Flaming Gorge. Then our aquatics folks are also working on a harvest incentive program for Flaming Gorge Reservoir for small lake trout. These are the small pup lake trout that are currently unlimited in harvest. And I think the idea with this program is anglers will be able to just remove the heads from those small lake trout, drop them off in a freezer with their name, and then they'll be entered into different incentive programs for harvested lake trout. So that's being worked on, and hopefully that'll be out and available by the first of the year for people to take advantage of. Some good news, I think, from our check station on the deer hunt in Strawberry Valley. It's the only check station we had in our region this year to collect chronic wasting disease samples, but we had 170 deer checked in the first 3 days, and that's the highest number we've had since 2011. So that was encouraging to see. There were bucks from a number of different age classes represented there as well, not only yearlings, but there were also a number of older age classes as well. Just started capture work today, actually, on the south slope for mule deer, and then be progressing across the south slope for the next couple of days. And then after that, we'll be capturing deer. I think December 7th right now, we're scheduled to capture deer on the Wasatch East unit. For the rest of the year, there'll be different captures going on with moose, elk, and bison and bighorn in different parts of the region. But if any of the RAC members would like to come out with us, you're more than welcome to. Schedules are always subject to change with weather and helicopters, but best opportunity to get your hands on some of these animals is during our deer captures. The moose and elk and bison are usually just processed on site, so they're not slung back to our processing area or anything. So, but anyway, this capture data is very important to evaluate body condition, get survival rates, as well as tracking migration routes. So it's good information for us to collect and be able to base a lot of our survival data on and population modeling. We're also busy doing deer classifications, and those parameters in terms of buck-doe ratios and doe-fawn ratios are important for us for not only modeling, but also allocating future hunting permits. We'll also have our next round of public mule deer growth meetings. Those will be held January 13th in Roosevelt and January 14th in Vernal. I think we'll focus on kind of discussing what we're seeing on each of our units here in the region in terms of predation or limiting factors based on a lot of our survival data and different things like that. We'll also talk about disease and predation issues as well. And then future meetings will move into things like habitat and other things that were brought up at our initial meetings. So we'll continue to do that. For this next time, we'll still have 2 sites in Roosevelt and Vernal. Anyhow, that's it for me. In case anybody wondered, this is a moose. It's not an elk. So just remember that for next year. Okay.
Any questions for Miles?
Why are the wildlife captures done in the winter? It seems like that'd be stressful. Huh? Is it because of just spawning? I mean, just
Yeah, it's actually the best time because while you're chasing with the helicopter, you want to keep the body cool. And so in the
Okay.
winter is actually an ideal time to do it. And especially this early season where they're just coming down, they're not really stressed and things at this point. Later on they could, but our chase times are usually very short. So, but from a temperature and overheating standpoint, it's an ideal time.
How did the body condition look on deer this year? I mean, we'll probably hear that in the next rack, but I'm just curious if they had anything.
Today was the first day, and I don't know if there's any summarized data or anything yet, but
It was variable.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had some really bad ones.
You ready? We appreciate it. Okay, let's move on to item number 5, mandatory testing, chronic waste disease from Ginger Stout. Do you have any updates or anything you want to present?
No
More
updates.
updates or anything? I
Is this on?
think it is.
Okay. No, I don't have any updates.
Was there any questions from the RAC for Ginger on her presentation?
How would the mandatory testing be? Do you have to take your animal to the nearest office? Is there check-in stations or what is?
Yeah, so we'll have a bunch of different options for hunters, all the way from hunters taking their own samples, and we'll supply the testing kit, and then they'll be able to drop them off in different locations, whether at a freezer or we may have some head barrels. And then you can also go to the office or call a biologist.
Is there any guide, like, say you shoot something or get something in the backcountry and you don't want to, you got to bring evidence back, but is there guidance on how to get the lymph nodes out or something?
Yes, so we'll be making some instructional videos and brochures so you can get your own samples out without having to haul the entire head
Yeah.
back.
That'd be good.
I know some other states require people to even pull blood off the belt, even if they're in the backcountry and whatnot. So I mean, they do more they do that in other states as well too. So it's not like it's not doable.
Right. And we request blood from elk hunters as well. So. But other states do mandatory tests like Colorado and Wyoming.
They have a lot bigger areas than some of those. Do we have any thoughts on like the Mighton area as well as doing mandatory on that one as well too, or moving towards on that, or?
Yeah, that one's a little bit harder because of all the private land. But we do try to get as many samples from that area as possible. And we do have another CWD study going on in that spot, looking at survival and then live animal testing.
Any other questions from the RAC? Are there any public questions for Ginger? Go ahead and step up to the.
I'm allowed, no, you don't have to. If you don't mind. I'm going to ask on that CWD problem that we had in Mighton. We've been working on that for a couple of years. Are we making any progress over there? What's happening in that unit?
I think we'll know a little bit more after this next year. But I think the region can probably speak to the hunts a little bit more. But since it's private land, it's a really hard area to do much in. If you want to see.
So I'm Dallin Christensen. I'm the regional wildlife manager. Yeah, the Mighton area has been on our radar for a few years. We have really increased our testing in the area and our outreach to landowners. In fact, right now we're currently working with landowners to harvest some mature buck deer that possibly might be suspect. And this is the kind of time of year when we expect those mature bucks to be going and spreading chronic wasting disease. So we're working with some of them. We actually took some samples off of some this morning. We haven't really seen a decrease in the number of positives we've seen, but we are trying to do some live animal testing. We're also monitoring the movements of the animals in the area with GPS collars, and that's just kind of started this past year. So we're interested to see how that shakes out. But there's a lot of things going on, a lot of things we're trying. We'll see over the next year or two how they work, and if there's anything we can really do to help slow the progress of it. So.
Any other questions from the public? There were no electronic comments on this one. And this was informational, so we don't need to vote on it, but is there any RAC discussion before the Ginger sit down?
One more thing I'll say is we do hope to expand the mandatory testing. We wanted to start off small just to give the public and hunters, a little bit of time to get used to the idea, and also to find those instructional videos so that in years in the future, we may be able to do a whole unit or subunit or, more than one hunt at a time.
If somebody doesn't, if somebody reports that they've taken an animal and it's not submitted for testing, what is the consequence?
Right. So this coming year is a trial period. So we'll discuss that afterwards, but in the code, it's a fee.
A fee?
Yes.
Okay, not a loss of inability to apply or anything like that. Okay. I did a little research on CWD and prion diseases before. It does, unlike bovine spongiform encephalopathy, it does not look like CWD at this point has a significant risk of transmission to human. Is that, I did read a couple of individuals who ate meat known with CWD later kind of developed a prion disease. Happened in 2020, I think, or maybe 20. But there's a pretty good study that came out in 2024 of organoids or whatever they were calling, like small cells that did not uptake the disease. And so at this point is felt to not be a public health issue, more that it's more a wildlife population. Am I understanding this correctly?
Yes. But
there's a caveat that it could be a problem.
Exactly. Yes. So right now we don't have any direct evidence that CWD has caused a prion disease in humans, but
that's not to say it couldn't.
Exactly.
And I did read that there was a couple lab studies where they did a couple tweaks to the prion,
right, and
it did become infective. And so it's not that far from being a human problem, but it does not appear to be at this moment.
Correct. Okay. Yes. But we still don't recommend that you eat the meat of a positive animal.
I'm not going to try it
because of that. But yeah, just like other diseases that can mutate. I mean, obviously a prion doesn't mutate, but it can change its folding.
Its folding pattern, yeah.
Yeah. And that's what's known as a strain in the prion world. So if it does develop a new strain, there is potential in the future.
And when BSE was a problem, it killed like 200 people.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's not a way I want to die. It's weird. Yeah.
Yes. Nobody wants that.
What's the process if you want to do a voluntary test? If you get an animal and you want to have it tested voluntary, I guess.
Yeah. So each year we do have target units, and that's more than one unit. We do a 5-year rotation of all the deer units. So if it is a target unit, that is a voluntary sample submission, and we'll pay for it. We'll do the testing. All you have to do is go to a check station or an office and get that submitted.
How quick is the turnaround?
It usually takes within 2 to 6 weeks. Yeah.
And if it's not a voluntary unit, then you would have to pay for it, or?
Correct. Yeah.
People have their meat cut and wrapped by then.
Yeah. And if we do find a positive, we can reimburse the processing fee. And we notify everyone that we find positive.
Sure.
Thank-
Go to the mic. Thanks, Jerry. Go to the mic.
Okay.
Thanks, Jerry. No, this mic, stop right there.
Okay.
Yep.
My
There you
name's
go.
Jerry Slight from Roosevelt, and I was just wanted to know the procedure and stuff for people out of state. There's a few people that I know that come, there's, different, and they come to the meat shops, different things, and then they come through. I just didn't know how well they're educated and things, because they come through, I guess, thinking that our wildlife office is open, like all the time. And so they just asked me, and I said, well, they close certain time in that, and I didn't know all the ones who were to recommend or tell them to go, so they just went on to Colorado. So I just was looking out for the out of staters. There's quite a bit that come in, and I just didn't know the education process, because I didn't really know for them. So that was just this concern I had, that maybe if the ones when one individual I knew come over from with Colorado from my brother, and he's just kind of concerned about it.
Mhm.
So what they did is wanted to have it tested here, but they went to Colorado and had it done. So he just asked if you ever have, so I just looking to keep a good PR with those who that's all. Thanks.
I appreciate that. And we're looking to do a big educational campaign this next year. And that's one of the things, is having additional drop-off locations, or making it easier for hunters to be able to submit their samples.
Did they do away with we used to have where the weed cutters would take samples and save it, or even the taxidermists, and they even reimbursed them a little. Did they do away with that program, or do they still do that?
We partner with a lot of taxidermists and meat processors.
I just remember having to go pick them up all the time. So,
Yeah,
back in the day.
no, they've been really helpful, especially in this region.
The other discussion. Okay, well, that one's informational, so we don't need to vote on it. So appreciate it, Ginger.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will move on to agenda item 6, the 2025-27 hunt table and season date revision from Sam.
Yeah, my name's Sam Robertson. I'm the Cache Ogden District Biologist, and I don't have anything to add or any clarification, so I'll take some questions.
Okay, questions from the RAC? All right, any questions from the public? Okay, we'll move on. No electronic comments on this one. So, and we don't have a public comment card. Just remind anybody, if you want to have a comment, fill out the green card and bring it up here. Go ahead, JC.
Well, that's different subject here.
Oh, okay.
It's down the line, a couple of
Okay.
items.
So we'll move on to the RAC discussion. Any RAC discussion on this agenda?
I guess, well, probably a late question. The southeast boundary that was linear, if it was moved to the west to follow the canal, is what we said, correct? Was it just to make that easier? What was the reason for moving the southeast boundary to the west?
Yeah, there was a couple reasons to make it easier. And also, since we're going to bump the season dates back later, we have a couple of ag people that feed cattle up along that upper boundary, the previous boundary. And we didn't want to have some conflicts with potential feeding bull elk and having some issues there.
The archery hunt for the bison and the Henrys hasn't always been last, has it?
I think it has for the last since 2017.
Initially, it was earlier and then it got moved late.
Why did they move it late? 'Cause I mean, archery's harder and you got the animals pressured and pushed even deeper. I mean, you're kind of hampering archery hunters. I think you'd have them first.
It was kind of the idea of adding those archery once in a lifetime hunts was, that was the ask from the archery community was we want a chance to have hunts that are just archery. Because technically right now you could draw on any legal weapon permit and hunt with your bow. Like we want ones that are dedicated archery and we're willing to take a harder season or, more of a challenge, but we want some permits that are just for archery. Initially, when we started that hunt in the Henrys, it was earlier in the year. And just to get the harvest that we need to get in the Henry Mountains to manage that population to the objective, it's kind of there's a tipping point. We give too many permits during one particular season. The bison have some hidey holes they go and disappear into, and we can't get the harvest we need. The biologist, over the years has kind of figured out where that is. And so in order to have enough seasons to get the harvest we need without going too far, that bison hunt is more of an opportunity for archers. It's not as efficient for harvesting animals. And so that's why that's been moved till late. And I think that is in keeping with kind of what was asked for initially. When the Utah Archery Association, some of those folks really pushed for a once in a lifetime archery opportunity. And people forget about that stuff after a few years. And then they're like, well, we want better dates and longer dates and earlier dates. And so, I can't blame everybody wants good dates, but that's kind of the background. That's a little of the history on it.
Okay. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks.
So follow up to that, but kind of unrelated to this once in a lifetime archery. And I don't want to get too far off topic, but 4 years ago, a friend of mine drew a Kings Peak mountain goat in which they were saying they were going to be doing some collection, and had a helicopter run off a goat he was on a stock of. And I understand that this happened right before, but archery once in a lifetime, that seems like, should we address this at some other point?
Yeah, that's not really the bison hunt we're talking about, but
right.
Some of these others. Yeah, I think, when we come through with season dates in the future, it's probably a good discussion to have. And it's, and I did just get a message from the manager of Southeastern region when they had that bison hunt earlier too. It did seem to kind of push some of the bison down lower earlier onto some of the grazing allotments, and not everybody loved that. Yeah, it's tricky. Having a hunt that doesn't go exactly how you want is hard. And that's also part of the trade-off and why it's easier to draw these archery once in a lifetime permits. It's a trade-off. If you're like, oh, I don't want to have any chance that this, happens and interrupts my hunt, you could put in for the any legal weapon season and still hunt it with your bow, but it's going to take you a lot more years to draw the permit. So it's part of the trade-off of, deciding what you put in for. And there are trade-offs. If you have better draw odds, there's probably a reason for that. It's probably because the hunt's more difficult, or there's something that could happen that could make it more complicated.
But having a helicopter run off your goat, that's a little different too.
It's a bummer. That's really unfortunate.
Could have made Wade come up here and do it.
Thanks, Dex.
Any other discussion on this one? Not, we can entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to pass the hunt table and season dates revisions as presented.
Okay, we have a motion by Natasha to accept the 2025-27 hunt table season date revision as presented.
I'll second it.
And Adam will second that. We'll just do all those in favor, raise your hand. That passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will move on to 7, Bookless Bison Management Plan by Clint Sampson. Got any updates on that, Clint, or anything?
I do. So as far as, let's see if I can move this thing around. We're good to go. The committee, the list you got in the presentation and that's in the plan, there were 2 individuals who were not able to attend our meetings from that list, but the ones who did attend, everyone else, we were able to reach 100% consensus just after 2 meetings. So that's the only clarification out there.
Okay. Any questions from the RAC on this?
Clint, did I understand that the former goal was 450 animals? And now we're going up to 650 because they're using the east side. Is that what I took from your presentation?
Sure. Yep. There's a wider distribution of the animals across the landscape. They're not, just hanging out on one ridge anymore. So yeah, absolutely. They're definitely using the entire unit now.
And so you said a small increase or something like that. That's a 50% increase. I mean, that's significant, but nonetheless,
Yeah.
I guess and what is being done for feral horse mitigation? You touched on it, but I wasn't aware of all that was being done there.
Sure. So this past summer, we were able to remove around, it was 348 horses off the landscape down there in the
That's
Booklets.
fantastic.
Yeah. And also the Ute tribe is making pretty concentrated efforts down there too to remove horses on their side as well. So yeah, it's really showing a lot of improvements to people who have been out there. So yeah.
Because that seems to be the hardest grazing hit on the, am I mistaken?
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough when
There's only so many
have to
blades of
deal with
grass,
that
right?
many. Yep, absolutely. And they just grow at a really fast rate. And I'm still yet to see a skinny horse out there. They got my disease. But yeah, you can't find a ribby one out there to save your life.
Hey Clint, I've noticed that too in the roadless area. There's definitely a lot less horses. Has there been any recent talks about the feral cattle down there?
Yes, we talked to the permittee out there, Clay McCagney, and through the summer too. Yeah, we were able to remove quite a few. They were able to get quite a few out of there, and so it was looking better than I've seen it in the past. So yeah, a constant battle.
Hey, Clint, thanks for the info. What about future feral horse removal? What's going to happen in the future?
Oh man, if you got a crystal ball, I'm all ears. But I think we'll keep making efforts on our end. I know Miles might be able to talk about what the county's trying to do here recently.
Yeah, the Uinta County Animal Control has been working with the Utah Public Lands Coordination Office, Policy and Coordination Office. They had some money from the state legislature that was allocated for horse gatherers. So they're working on putting together a gather for the Bonanza area and probably East Bench, maybe further out into the Book Cliffs as well. So that would take place maybe in January, February if everything goes fine. So anyhow, I think there's kind of some momentum right now to try to do something every couple of years at least. So
yeah, and I don't know if Jordan wants to add anything from his side.
There may be some changes to the grazing plans in that general area. More to come on that, I guess.
Does that help, Mark?
Yeah, as a RAC member, I'll just say that I'm would love to see some horse removal. Looking forward to have more habitat for wildlife.
In the plan, was there discussion about what this might impact the elk and deer populations out that way? I know it's been a hot topic for a while, so.
Sure. I don't see much impact on deer from bison, just from where they hang out and their behavior and everything. With elk, you have some grazing issues where they might eat the same things that way. But if you look at it from the big picture, we have deer and elk all throughout the state. There's not many places that are as unique as the Book Cliffs to have a once in a lifetime experience or opportunity to hunt bison through a public process. I mean, they're not high fenced, they're free range. You can hunt them through a public process. Like, that is a short list. And so if our deer and elk maybe have to take a little bit of a cut moving forward, I think it's probably worth it to be able to provide just such a unique opportunity going forward. But I don't see the bison impacting deer that much and maybe displacing elk every once in a while. But for the most part, I think we're willing to be good stewards and willing to monitor and continue to check and, I mean, do our part to make sure everything's going as best as it can out there.
Is there a plan to increase the tags by 50%?
Looking forward, bison do respond really heavy or really well to hunting pressure. And so as we up tags and things like that, and where things are changing with Colorado, it'll be a little bit of a learning process moving forward. But I think the more opportunity we can provide for hunters or for sportsmen in general to move them through the points process is, our goal for sure.
How are things changing with Colorado?
So Colorado, they currently don't value bison as a wildlife species, and that's going to change on January 1st. And so from now until January 1st, if a bison crosses the state line, anyone can shoot them. And so they're just, considered trespass livestock in Colorado. So
Tell me where that is.
change, what's that?
Let me know where that is. I'd love to find out.
Yep. Go drive the border. But yep. And you can see it with our collar data, like on those maps I showed in the presentation. They go right up to the line. They know. And they know to stay home that way. So moving forward, as far as permits and things like that, it'll just be an annual process of looking at what we have and trying to manage accordingly.
Does Colorado have plans to have a hunt?
Talking with their biologists, I think moving forward, they're willing to coordinate with us and have a lot of discussions moving forward on how they.
Color data can change. There's no hunt there, safe haven in Colorado.
Yep.
So.
Sure.
Any other RAC questions? We'll move on to questions from the public.
We'll get up to the mic this time because I want to talk to them. He's way bigger than I am, so I've got to get up here where I'm on level ground with him. The reason I put in the comment card on the buffalo was because if we had an extremely dry summer in the Book Cliffs this year, as everybody knows. Something has been concerning me, and let's back up just a little bit. I've been working on the water systems particularly on Atchee Ridge, but all the Book Cliffs for 25 years longer. Worked with the ranchers, sportsmen, fishing game, everybody. And I have advocated for a long time developing a lot of small water sources rather than a few big ones for protection of range, protection of animals. Good reasons to do that. Been getting a little bit of attention from a lot of people. We're doing that. We've got a lot of very small water sources, particularly on Atchee Ridge. This fall, I talked to 2 hunters who told me that they had been in that buffalo herd on Atchee Ridge this year. One hunter told me that he was sure there was at least 60 head of buffalo in that one herd. Another hunter claimed 100. I doubt that. But the point I'm trying to get to here is there any way of dispersing that herd over a bigger area? My point I want to make is that every time that I find buffalo tracks, I find no water behind them. They go in and they clean out these small water sources that we've been developing for years, small reservoirs, guzzlers, whatnot. They go in and the whole herd goes in, cleans it out, dries it up completely, and moves on. That herd of buffalo now that's on Atchee Ridge is beginning to get big enough to concern me because it takes all the water out of a given area and the water for the rest of the wildlife. And then the buffalo will move on 10 miles, do it again and again and again. And we are, in my opinion, impacting the other wildlife species in that area. Simply the fact that the buffalo, wherever they go, there's no water left behind them. You'll throw something at me, or do you have a response to that? Can I go ride in the air in the helicopter with you? When we go to disperse that herd?
You come along anytime you want, Jay. Anytime you want. No, there's no better leading authority on water in the Book Cliffs than the guy you just heard right there. And I'm not going to argue with you. You know, the bison do spread out and they move and they do not stay on one ridge, you know, for very long. And one thing,
Don't scatter, it stays one mass like a herd of cattle. The herd is not dispersed, it's one bunch.
so right now there's at least 3 kind of smaller herds in the Bitter Creek unit that are moving all different areas throughout the unit. And so they're not all just in one big clump. From what I see, being out there and studying them and watching their collar data, watching their movements, being out there on the ground and everything. Now you might see one herd that has 60 animals in it, but there's probably 2 or 3 other herds out there too that are constantly moving around. And I think it's a good thing that bison don't just camp out and stay in one spot, but they are constantly moving. And one way you can definitely influence their movements is through hunting pressure. And we've seen that. We've seen it when they crossed the Green River and we came up with that over-the-counter hunt. I mean, the first year we killed over 100. Second year it was down in the teens. And since then so we can definitely influence their movements through hunting pressure. And I think those are the 2 things that really influence bison movements are hunting pressure and habitat work. And we've seen that have real positive outcomes in the Book Cliffs with the bison because they're able to, use more of the unit than they ever have before. And so I think it spreads their impacts out across the unit instead of just concentrating them in one area.
Okay, any other, we didn't have any electronic comments. We don't have any more public comments, but any other questions from the public? Anyone? We'll go ahead and move on to the RAC discussion. I just want to compliment all the work that's been done out there, whether it's the water, all the habitat work that's been done out there. It really shows, like you say, with your collar data and that it really shows how much work and effort you guys have put into it, and you can see how dedicated everybody is to it, and it really shows, and those bison are hard to hunt. People think they can go out there and just like a moo cow shoot them, but those things can hide. I mean, they'll disappear on you. You don't think they can, but they sure can. So, but I think the habitat folks have done a great job out there, and you've done a great job too as well, Clint, on them too. So I think they deserve a big pat on the back for everybody.
Oh, for sure. Pat Rainbow and our habitat section, they're on fire. They're doing great things.
My comment would be, years where it's dry like this, what is our priority for animals in the Book Cliffs? And I think it's a public decision on what they want. Do we want more elk? Do we want more buffalo? Do we want more deer? I wish more people would comment on that. So maybe the DWR would know what they want, what the public wants. So,
well, I would hope that if you look at the committee members that we chose to be a part of it, that they would represent a large, I guess, spectrum of people out there. And so that's about the best way we know going forward is. And so like in the future, if you ever want to be a part of, or somebody who's a member of the committee, I would definitely bend their ear, because that was one great thing too. And with our region, the folks we had participate here locally, the committee was awesome. It was really good. A lot of spirit of camaraderie and compromise. And I thought we came to some really good decisions and had some tough conversations too.
I didn't notice anybody on there from like the Elk Foundation and that on there. Was there anybody from that or anything else?
No, we tried to limit it to about 12 individuals and sportsmen and ag reps and tried to reach across the board that way.
I agree. It's cool to see them out there. It's not like you get to see them that often anywhere. So, getting the opportunity to hunt once in a lifetime species cool. I do worry about its impacts to the other animals, but
Any other RAC discussion? We can entertain a motion then.
Well, one more comment. I think, thanks to Clint and Pat Rainbolt for all the hard work. I think more horse management would be good. Sounds like that's a big problem. So I appreciate everything you're doing, but keep moving forward. Thank you.
I would like to make a motion to accept the Book Cliffs Bison Management Plan as presented.
We have a motion by Natasha to accept the Bookcliff Bison Management Plan as presented. Do we have a second?
Second.
And that is seconded by Jordan. Let's go ahead and have a vote on it. Just do your raise hands. And that passed unanimously. So Eric had to step out, it looks like, but passed unanimously. Okay, we will move on to R 657-42 amendments, natural disaster relief by Lindy, excuse me. I'm sorry. I know your name. You can smack me next time. See, I'm sorry.
Okay, if you promise. Sorry, I could not attend in person. I had some obligations to deal with the draw contractor with the sportsman straw, so I had to be back in Salt Lake for that tonight. So I'm kind of doing double duties right now. But yeah, I don't have any clarifications, so any questions, I would love to answer them. And just an FYI, I have Kenny Johnson with me tonight. He wanted to sit in. He's the admin chief, so.
Okay, any questions from the RAC? Okay, any questions from the public? We don't have any electronic comments and there's no public comments, so we'll go ahead and move on to RAC discussion on this item.
I think it's a good thing. When I had my mountain goat hunt, nearly half my unit was closed due to a fire. So I think that it's actually a good thing. So I would like to make a motion to accept it if we can.
Okay, we have a motion from Natasha to accept the R 657-42 amendments as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Jordan seconds it. We'll just go ahead and do a vote by hand. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, that passes unanimously. We will move on to item. Thank you, Lindy, for that, and thank you, Kenny, for tuning in as well. We'll move on to item number 9, CWMU landowner permit recommendation by Darren. Any updates or anything?
Yes, just a couple of clarifications really quick. The first one is in the presentation for the salt wells, CWMU. We show that they're dropping deer from that CWMU and dropping 10 pronghorn tags, but I said that the acreage didn't change. The acreage actually changed significantly, and that's why the permits changed was fairly drastic. So they're going to be dropping 28,614 acres from that CWMU. A lot of landowners just pulled out, so they still have a 7,800 acre CWMU, so they still qualify for pronghorn. But obviously, with that drop in acreage, they needed to make the difference. And in that current CWMU, there really aren't a lot of deer, so that's why they're dropping deer. And then the pronghorn they have can't support that many permits. So that's a quick one. And then the the next one is Two Bear CWMU. They will be dropping elk. So I just want to make that clear in case someone in the public has been putting in for elk on Two Bear, just so they're aware that that's going to be dropping off of that CW. Other than that, happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, questions from the RAC for Darren. Why was Two Bear dropping the elk? Just curious.
They, it was hard for them to make the numbers with the public cow hunting, and they just felt like they're on an any bull unit. They can hunt elk during the any bull season. And so for them, it made more sense just to drop that portion.
Okay, we'll move on. Any questions from the public for Darren? There's no electronic comments and there's no other, we don't have any public comments on this one, so we'll go ahead and move to the RAC discussion. If there's no discussion, we'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to accept the CWMU and landowner permit recommendations as presented.
Okay, we have a motion by Natasha for the CWMU and landowner permit recommendations as presented. Have a second?
I'll second it.
Oh, Adam's gonna second it. We got somebody new. Okay. Well, go ahead and everybody raise your hands for in favor. Okay, yeah, it looks like that passed unanimously. Okay, that is the end of our agenda for the night. We want to thank everybody, public, for coming and public comment. We really appreciate it. Thank you, JC. We really appreciate all the comments. Then the next board meeting will be December 4th, 9 a.m. at the Farmington Bay Eccles Wildlife Center. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Natasha makes the motion to adjourn.
Second.
And Jordan seconds it. And all those in favor? Yeah, thank you, everybody.